Hi everybody, welcome. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Elke Feuer. I'm an author and a fiction book coach, and I am going to talk to you tonight about how to launch your fiction book after the launch. Now, if you've been following the last few videos I've done, this is the third one in the series, so if you haven't watched the first two, I want to encourage you to go ahead and do it. The first one was what to do before the launch, the second was what to do during the launch, and this one are some of the things that I recommend to do after your launch. Okay, and I'm actually going to do a series afterwards because I'm in the process of launching my book and kind of give you an idea of what worked for me, what didn't, but that's kind of subjective because I always find that it really depends on the book you're launching, the type of launch you're doing, and you know, every author's audience is slightly different. Some things can be successful with one author and not with another, but at the same time, it's always good to know sort of what worked, especially if it's a genre that you write in the same as that author and you get their feedback on what worked for them. That's always really helpful. So the book that I'm launching is romantic suspense. So if you write that genre, I'll make sure to give you some tips on what worked for me with this launch. All right, because I'm doing a few different things. It's kind of a short launch, so it's going to be a little crazy. But anyway, on to the topic for tonight. So what do you do after you launch? Now, this is sort of, in the last video, I kind of talked about during the launch, which was at launch, to sort of 30 days. This will take you from like 30 days up to about 90 days within the launch, or after the launch, I should say. So going again, I always recommend having your content calendar. Now, you can decide whether you want to map it out as far out as 90 days for your calendar. That's completely up to you. But I personally like to, because it kind of keeps me on track of, okay, before, during, and after, what are the things that I need to post where, or what am I doing when? That's really helpful for me. Everybody's different. Just choose what works for you. So some of the things to consider after your launch is, and I always say this, is reach out to your people that offer to write reviews for you, or reach out to new people. Just reach out to reviewers. I think that's kind of an ongoing thing, especially within that 90 days, because the truth is that a lot of times reviews will kind of trickle in, and as the reviews build, it's another way to get eyes on your book. So it's always good to be reaching out to reviewers, because let's face it, you know, sometimes we forget that, oh crap, I forgot that I was going to do this for this person. So that's why I think it's always a good idea to follow up with any reviewers who haven't posted their reviews as yet. Is to, as those reviews are coming in, is to share them on your social media pages, because this is a great way to say, hey, another review, hey, another review. So that is really a great strategy as well too with marketing, and it gives you ideas of what you can post as well too, because kind of like after the crescendo of the launch, it's kind of like, okay, now what do I post? So this is another thing that you can kind of add as ideas for what to post out. This is a huge one, and a lot of writers say this: start writing your next book. Because I think sometimes we get so super focused on, you know, getting the sales, doing all this, focusing on this one book, that we kind of stress ourselves out and give ourselves a bunch of anxiety, whereas we're just saying, okay, this one's launch, I'll do a few things after the launch, and boom, I'm gonna get started on my next book. Because let's face it, if you have your fans and they've read that one book, they're gonna be like, okay, when's the next one coming out? It's kind of like, when are you gonna have another baby, right? So that is a good way to kind of get yourself into that habit, that launch, write, edit, repeat, right? So that's a good way to get your mindset. And also it takes away from, okay, new books are fun and exciting to write, instead of focusing on marketing, which a lot of us don't like to do, right? So that's one good way to kind of release the anxiety of that and focus on something that's fun, which is writing, which is what we want. The other thing that you can look at is analyzing your data. Now, when you do this, don't do it with the intention of saying, crap, my sales sucks, it's not working, this isn't doing well. Look at it from a very sort of big picture, objective view. Okay, this is where sales are, this is where sales aren't. Okay, let me double down on what's working and look at it objectively, instead of looking at it as a way to beat yourself up because your numbers aren't what you want them to be or what you hope they would be. So I always recommend that you do that. looking at and analyzing your data from that perspective. And what you want to do is, like I said, this also is a good way to show you what's working before you wait too far out where it's like, oh crap, it's 6 months later and why wasn't the book working and why wasn't this, all the things that I was doing weren't working. This gives you a jump start so that you can course correct, or as I said earlier, double down on what's doing well. So that is the importance of analyzing your data sort of right after the launch. The other thing you can look at is to identify a new strategy, because let's face it, when there's so many different strategies that we can try when we're launching, that it can be like, oh my gosh, so overwhelming. Now that you've sort of gotten that first launch out of the way, the next 90 days, you can look at, okay, I've worked with this, you've analyzed your data, what is a new strategy maybe that I can implement in this time period, just to kind of test it and see if it works. Don't need to go crazy or choose anything that's going to create a lot of added stress. Just one quick strategy that you can do in order to maybe increase sales or get more eyes on your book. And like I said, that's another way to test new things as well too in this time period. Running ads. Now this is a tricky one because it really depends on your budget, but if you've been running ads and you're doing really well in one area, what you could do is look at or you're not doing well in that area for ads, is to try a different site and see if that works without sort of saying, I'm gonna blow all my money on this if it's not working. This is where analyzing your data comes in handy so that you can say, okay, I've spent $50 here or $5 or whatever your budget is, and it's not getting me the results that I want. Okay, let me try a different site. Some sites that I am, Amazon's always good if, you know, they're inexpensive so far for me, and you can kind of set your budget. Facebook, you really have to be careful with how you set up your budget for that, because otherwise it can end up costing a lot of money. The next thing, another area that you can look at is Fussy Librarian is a really good one that I'm going to be trying this time around, as well as Book Spry. So those are just looking at other sites where you can find new audiences to connect with and testing them. This is a great opportunity to do it during that time. That's another thing that you can do during your 90-day as well too, so that is when you're keeping eyes on your book, especially if you're launched through Amazon, because Amazon will really push your book during your launch between 30 and that 90-day window. And if you have traffic going there, then that actually helps get you more eyes on your book during that time frame as well too, which is really helpful, along with the review. Another thing that you can do is to reach out to influencers who are in your circle that you know and you have a relationship with. Now, I personally would recommend doing this sort of before the launch, but you can also do it afterwards, especially if it's somebody that you know that if you reach out, they'll be like, yeah, sure, I'd love to, you know, share your book or share your posts with my readers or my audience. So that's something that you can do as well too, especially if it's somebody who's already in your circle. If you haven't done that before, that is something new that you can try. And like I said, test it to see if it's gonna work for you. One thing that's new that is on my radar, but I'll be honest with you, I'm not doing it in this launch just because I have such a short launch time. But it's something that I know a lot of writers do, and they've had a lot of great success with it, and that's joining another promotion. Now, there's 3 different ways that you can do this. The first is BookFunnel. They actually will, I'm not sure how it works, so I'm not even gonna go into detail because I read up a little bit about it for myself, but I don't remember, to be honest. But BookFunnel is they offer that where you're cross-promoting with you're joining a promotion with other authors. Another one is other authors. There's a lot of authors that I know that are good friends, they write in the same genre, and they actually say, hey, can we do promotion together? So they're promoting their book to their audience, and you're promoting their book to your audience. So you're basically cross-promoting. That's another great way to get readers, especially if they're in your genre. It's a great way to test as well too, to see if that's something that's gonna work for you, whether you enjoyed the process or whether it just created a bunch of stress, because that can be a challenge as well too. So these are just some different ideas of things that you can do as far as promoting your thing. That you can do is, if you originally reached out to podcasters and YouTubers and you haven't got a response, is to reach out again, because a lot of times things get lost in the emails, or in the spam, and just reach out and say, hey, I sent this email, I haven't heard from you. I'm in the middle of my promotion and I've got this book. I think your audience would like it because, you know, your audience watches or listens to this kind of stories, and I think it would be great for them. Really sell it so that you're showing them why it's of interest to them to share it with their audience. And like I said, just follow up with them and see. I've done that and it's been like, oh yeah, I totally forgot about that. Yeah, sure. Let me book you for this time. And a lot of times those are booked out in advance, but any promotion, even if it's further down the line, is a great way to, you might be ready to promote your next book, or it could be a great way to get some new traffic on your book, right? So that's always good. Promotion at any time, whether it's right now or later, is always good. One thing that you can do is to reach out to the people who are in your email list and just ask them to say, hey, still in the middle of the launch. If you haven't already, I would love for you to, you know, share the book, give them some pre-formatted ideas of what to promote. I like to provide a script and an image. That's one of the things that I'm doing this time around, just to make it as easy as that for them as possible. And just say, hey, if you've read the book and you haven't written a review, I would love for you to write a review. Because a lot of times, you know, when you first send out that email to say, hey, the book is launched, a lot of times we might forget to follow up and say, hey, you know, yeah, you bought the book, great. I would love for you to share, promote it. I would love for you to write a review. It's just a great way as a little reminder for your audience, because that's the truth. Your fans are the ones that are really going to love and support you. And this is a great way to tap into that warm audience and that supportive audience as well too. So at this stage, within the 90 days, is just to send out another email and just ask for their support. One thing you can do is to tweak your social media pages, because a lot of times we will either one, forget to put that, hey, the book's launched, or, you know, we forget to put the links on there, or maybe add different links. It's always a good idea to check your social media, even though you might have set it up, because a lot of times it's, you know, pre-ordered, but you might have forgotten to post out now, right? So it's always a good idea to go through and look and then check to make sure your links are working, everything is working. I can't tell you how many times that I've put a pre-order, ready for pre-order, and I forgot to put the out now on my social media pages. I've been promoting it, but I haven't put it sort of, if somebody visits my page, that they'll see that right away. So, and then also testing the links to make sure it's going to the right place and that it's not a broken link or something's not wrong with it. That's really important to check as well too during that 90, well, at any time, but during that 90-day stage is always a good way to look at them. So that is what I have for you for after the launch. Now, these are just some ideas. There's a lot of authors that have ideas that think out of the box. So I want to encourage you as well too to follow writers who are in your genre, if they're on social media or podcasts or on their social media pages, to get ideas. I get ideas all the time. And even looking at writers, perhaps if you write in one genre and read in others, which many of us do, right, is to look at what they're doing. I have found I don't read fantasy, but I've connected with some fantasy writers recently, and I've just been blown away by what they're sharing, and it's given me so many ideas for my own launch this time. So don't be afraid to branch out of your genre, and also just connect with new writers and just start to think outside the box for your ideas that are fun. And because let's face it, marketing is not something that we love to do, but if we can make it fun, we're more likely to do it consistently. So that's the important thing, is the consistency part. So I hope you found this really helpful. If you haven't, go back and watch the other 2 videos about before the launch, during the launch, and then that'll give you some more ideas for what you can do even during this after the launch as well too. There's not really any main order. It might give you ideas. So it's always good to go through and watch all of them. So thank you guys so much. If you like the content, please like and subscribe. And I do want to invite you to join my Facebook group. I'm going to be doing a 3-day free workshop. I'm still working on the dates. I will post the link below to the group so that you can join. And it's going to be in December. And what it is, it's to help you to create your 2024 year. And what I'm going to do is to help you to map out your year. And I'm also going to provide you with, you'll walk away with a 1-page summary which is basically going to show you a year in review to help you stay focused. So I hope that you will join me for that. I'm doing one other video after this, and then I'm taking a bit of a hiatus in December just to finish writing and editing and launching and all that. But I will be back in January, and I've got tons of ideas for content. So I hope, like I said, like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out. And join my Facebook group if you haven't already. I love to talk and engage with writers there. And like I said, also, as always, I want to invite you to share anything that you do after your launch that has been successful for you. All right, have a nice evening. Bye.